Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry, all of a sudden everything kind of fell apart for a minute. So sorry. Things happen like that sometimes. Anyway, hello, hello. Good to see you guys. Let's see. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Linda. No, that Purpleina. That's Galena. Was that Galena? The names are scrambled a little bit. Hi, Denise. Hi, Connie. Yeah, I see that they're still playing up with, YouTube's playing up with stuff. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Jenny. Hey, Ruth. Hi, Terry. Purpleina is Galena. Thank you, Denise. Things just went south just all of a sudden. Yeah. Anyway, we're okay. We're okay. Hello! It's Drama Free Monday. Supposedly. Supposedly Drama Free Monday. Except it got a little drama-esque there for a little bit. Anyway, okay. So, I have not done any more on the gnome house. That didn't get done. But the good news is, hi Dana. The good news is I am completely out of my house. We got that accomplished this weekend. So, yay. Yes, yay. Rhonda, hello, hello. It's crazy how the names are all screwed up. Hey, Mickey. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Anyway, out of the house. Yes. So the moving has completed. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. I have to tell you, I'm very, very, very grateful that I am out of the house now. I am ready to be moving forward into other things. I'm trying to breathe. Chapter isn't completely closed, but it's pretty close. Yeah, it was. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, thank you. It was an accomplishment. I am very tired of lifting and pulling and, doing heavy stuff. And so I'm ready to kind of change that a little bit, change into some other things. I'm also ready for a vacation and a break. And I got it done. My goal was to be done before we took this vacation, and we got it. We got it. Yeah. So anyway, okay. Where are we? I didn't work on the gnome house because I had to work on the real house, and then yesterday was just crazy, which I'm just not even gonna go there. I'm just not gonna even go there because I was juggling so many balls yesterday and dropped a couple of them. Yeah. Hey, Dorothy. I dropped a couple of them, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, vacation. Clear the mind. Life happens while you're making plans, right? Or something like that. Okay, so let us put all that in the rearview mirror. All of it. It's going to go back there. And we are going to do something creative tonight because I need it. I hope you do too. So what I have, we're just going to jump right into it. I don't have anything new to show you. I don't have anything exciting to show you. And we're going to work with what's on my desk because, because that's what I got. That's what I have. Okay? Okay. So here's what I have to work with tonight. This is gotta get rid of my email here. Hold on. I gotta. Okay. Sometimes computers they wanna boss you around. Mine was trying to do that. Okay, so what I have here on my desk is a packet of, it's a few, it's not the whole thing. It's this many pre-folded watercolor cards. And I have the envelope somewhere, but I don't know where. I don't know where they are. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So here we have some Strathmore watercolor cards. There were 10 in this pack. I bought these ever so long ago. And the size is 5 by 7. Okay, they are watercolor. Oh, I guess the envelopes are in here. Are they? Yeah, those are the envelopes. Okay. If I need more cards than what I have here, we're gonna go. Here's another one. I'm gonna go. Here's one that has part of the background on it. I have another whole box full, so we'll go get those. Okay, let's set this one to the side and let's just work on these. I think this will keep us busy tonight. Okay? Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope. I'll tell you all about it when I get back. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is we're going to play with, because it is out on my desk, the watercolor, the bleeding tissue paper. So that's what we're going to play with, and I have it in squares and assorted circles. This is the Spectra Art Tissue. The squares are labeled bleeding art tissue, 2500 count, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. We played a little bit with these on Friday. This one is an assortment, 2250, and it is 1.5 inches diameter, 2.5 diameter, and 4 inches in diameter. Okay, so that's what we have, and that's what we're going to play with. And I have an idea in my head, but we'll find out whether it works, as always. So here is, and these are pre-folded watercolor cards. And I'm just going to I'm working with everything that's on the desk today. And so we have a brush, I have water, and I have the bleeding art tissue. So what I'm thinking to begin with, I'm just going to grab some squares, and I'm going to first of all put a piece of wax paper in there. And I'm just going to put this in the card, just so I can kind of keep the, you know, it's going to probably slop inside, but we're going to try. We're going to try a little bit. I'm going to put this around the outside edge, and paper towels at the ready. You can only get the sheets in the UK. Oh, that's too bad. Well, I guess you're going to have to cut your own circles, Dorothy. Wonky they might be, but you might have to cut your own. I don't know that you could punch or die cut them very easily, but so I'm just going to mix these up because they're in a specific order because they have been die cut. So they put a bunch of sheets together and then they just die cut them right into these squares, and you might be able to get them in other shapes. I really don't know. Anyway, I'm going to randomly pick them up. The worst part is that they're so fine, and of course I have fans going in here, so the fans are gonna kind of make life interesting, but so it goes. And so I'm just gonna wet the tissue around, or wet the surface around the edge of my card base. It's cold pressed watercolor paper card stock, just around the outside edge, and if I have to add more water I will. I am just going to start putting down the tissue here and there, not necessarily being super not trying to keep them straight necessarily. I hope that makes sense. My brain is admittedly a little scrambled today. And you know, some days are like that. And so I'm just going to start putting some more. I'm just going to let them overlap. Keeping my brush really nice and soupy wet, because I would like for this to bleed into each other. Let the colors bleed into each other, and whatever colors we get, we get. What is it Tim Holtz says? You get what you get, you don't throw a fit. If you have any questions, you think you can manage that, Dorothy? Good girl. If you have questions, put them in all caps. And we're just going to plop this down. I don't know what we're going to get. We're going to find out what we're going to get. But what I'm after here is just a border, kind of a border around the outside edge. I have kind of a thought in my head. Don't know if it's going to work because I did not have time today to test it out. So we're just going to keep going and put some colors down, randomly picking them up, working quickly, because the worst thing for me is to fiddle fart around too much. If that happens, then I start going, oh, but I should have, and I should have, and I should have. Yeah, well, don't do that. So, okay, that's going to be that one. We're going to set that off to the side. And I'm going to bring in another one. We're going to do 2 of them. And like I said, I have fans going, so the fans are going to want to blow these little lightweight squares around. This is when I need just like one more hand. Okay, I'm putting this on an extra board so I can have the ability to move it off to the side and let it dry. And then we're going to take this and put another piece of wax paper in here. Go the other way. Okay. Wonder how many times I can say that word. Hope you guys are having a good day. This is the last time I will be streaming until the next planned stream is around the 14th, hopefully the 14th of July. All right, let's... So you guys will have to enjoy some time off or some time with some other streamers or what have you. I hope you have a great time being creative and spending some time doing some fun things. And this time I'm being a little more regular, if you will, in my Oops, it's not what I wanted to do. Did not want to drop it, but that is what I did. I'm not overlapping the pieces as much as I did before. Just trying to get some of the... They are so fine, I'm telling you. And you can't really lick your fingers to pick stuff up with this, because if you do, you're going to end up painting your face and your fingers and all that jazz, and that's not such a good thing. And you don't need to, from what I've been able to ascertain so far, which in my vast experience last Friday, and none since then, I don't even know what I started to say. My vast experience that I just totally, it just flipped out of my head whatever my vast experience was going to say. All right, never mind, let's just keep on going. So I've got this. There's only so much you can control with this, in other words. And don't lick your fingers, like I said, or you're going to end up dyeing your fingers. And if you slop water over into your little pile of papers, that's what you're going to get, which means you're going to dye. You're going to activate the bleeding tissue paper in the middle of the pile, and that's not at all what I had hoped to do. But you know what? You go with the flow. Let's get these two apart. You just got to go with what's happening. Okay? All right. So we're going to let those kind of do their thing. Yeah, the bleed is very cool. You're doing World Watercolor Month, Rhonda. That will be good. That will be good for you to do, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I'm not, because I'm not good at committing to things like that. That's just... Challenges are very hard for me to participate in. Okay, there's the two that we have going. We're going to do one more. And I'm going to set this board over here where you can't see it, but I know where it is. I'm precariously balancing it. I'm attempting to precariously balance it. Maybe it'll stay there so that my fan will dry it. Okay, let's do, I have one more ready. Are you, Dorothy? Good for you. Dorothy is doing some beautiful stitchery for an exhibition. Okay, on this one, I don't know. I'm just going to pick up, I'm going to see if I can pick up the ones that I slopped water on and activate. We'll put those down on this background. So I think that's all the ones that I splattered water over onto, and I'm going to attempt to move these. They're just so fine to get a hold of. It's crazy. Anyway, let's put some more water over here. and they're blowing off the table because of the fan. You just gotta go with the flow. And I'm just gonna slop them down here. Start letting them do their thing. This is a great way to quickly get some color on the page. It's a lot of fun to play with, I have to say. I'm glad I bought these. They weren't expensive. That's also a plus. You know, I think you might be able to, but these are so tiny that by the time I crinkled them and then tried to straighten them out and put them down, I think I would be driving myself. I think I'd want to scream. So I think that that's something that you try when you have lots of time. I think that would be a great thing to try if you have lots of time. I think that might work better if you crinkle the sheets as opposed to the little squares or circles and that kind of thing. Maybe, but I don't know. So I am just using that which I had messed up. And just randomly, the only criteria for this assortment of colors was simply to use up the colors that I had messed up. Okay, all right. And some of the edges are sticking up. I didn't activate all the edges, but I did some. And so before I slop any more water on these, I'm going to pick them up. And I'm going to get some of the 4-inch circles and try to keep them from getting wet at the moment. I'm going to scoop these up and put them in my little tray that I have. I don't even know what I used on this. I think this might be acrylic paint, but it could be watercolor. I don't know. So we're going to let that one just live on its own, and we'll do something with that another day. Exactly, Ruth. When she was a kid, everything bled, and now you get to pay more for it. Yep. I think I've got all of my little pieces picked up and somewhat contained in my little dealio. Okay. So, I'm going to just take a little break. Yeah. And let these just kind of do their thing for a minute. And I will get out the samples that we did on Friday. Once I get these all on this surface where I can move them around. Okay, so I'm going to just try to put these back in the precarious balancing act that they were doing. Super precarious over there. All right. Of course, I put them back on the shelf. Let's go to the one, see if I can find the page that Here it is. Okay, so here's one of the pages that we used the circles on. And I let them dry and then pulled them off. This was just a random something from something I was trying to experiment with, that I was looking at somebody do something online a long time ago. So there's that one. So that's actually the bleeding tissue removed from the page. All right, let's see if we can find. Okay, here is, these are some of the squares done on just a plain background, nothing on it. This had black ink. I'm assuming it was distress ink, although I'm not sure. And it reactivated when I put the tissue squares on top of it. So it got some really interesting it's called bleeding tissue paper. This particular brand was this, Spectra. But be sure you look for bleeding art tissue. If it doesn't say bleeding, it may not bleed. Anyway, so for this, the black ink reactivated and got some, it got involved with the party. And then I took all those tissue papers off. When they dry, they just come off by themselves. And then what I did was, these are actually the tissue papers, the spent tissue papers. And this was one that was on that black that was on the page I just showed you. And there was another one on here that was from the black, maybe that one, I'm not sure. Anyway, and I just collaged them down on this piece of paper, which had bled through. This, I think, was done with alcohol ink and a bunch of other stuff. And it had come through the paper, and so that's where all these spots are in the background. So a lot of that added extra visual texture coming through, especially like this and that coming through from the other side of the paper. But those are the actual squares. So if all the color had not bled out, then you still get a little bit of the bleed out. You can see some of it there, and you'll see some here. So if you don't get all the color to release on whatever it is you're doing, it will continue to bleed until it's given up all its goodness. But it still created some really interesting color variations on this page. Okay, so that is what things looked like on after it dried out fully. Okay. Yes. So how are you guys? I hope you're doing well. To paste them down, the actual pieces, to paste them down in that last journal page, that was with matte medium. You have to use glue to put them down. Otherwise, they're just going to, when they get dry, they'll just come right back off. To get them to bleed, you put down water. Okay? All right. All right, so, yes. I'll take a moment and show you what we did in the VIP class on Saturday, just so you can see what we did. We had done a technique last month. Let me get a different view here. There we go. Okay, last month we did this technique that is from a class that I did way back, like in the 80s. And it was a, I don't know if it's called I don't know if you would consider it a faux finish technique or what, but anyway, you catch smoke in wet paint. And so that we did earlier this month, because we did 2 classes this month since I'm going to be gone. So the background has smoke caught in acrylic paint, and then I added a poppy on top of it. This is the one I actually did in the class. The smoky background is much more apparent in this one. And this is the poppy that we did in the class. This is just done with craft acrylic paints. This is craft acrylic paint, nothing fancy. But yeah, turned out really well. So I thought I would show those to you. And that was a really fun, couple of classes. Fun couple of classes. It's amazing what you can do with craft acrylic paint. I mean, it wasn't even student grade. It's the cheap stuff. It's the cheap stuff we used. Okay, so I'm looking to see if there's anything else I have to show you. I don't think there is at the moment, so we'll just keep moving forward. Those are, I can see the edges of the tissue as I'm looking over here where I have it balancing kind of like this. If you hear a big crash, you're going to know. You're going to know my balancing act failed. As they dry, they start to lift off the paper, and then I have an envelope available. And the envelope is where I'm going to put the used up tissue papers. So they'll go in here, and then I can use those for additional collage. And once I get tired of saving them, I'll throw the rest away. Because that's how that rolls. Okay, so here's what I want to try. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. Okay? So I have the 4-inch circles. So these are the big circles. And I thought what we might do is take a couple of these. Let's see. I don't know. We're just going to take some. I'm just going to grab some out. And I'm going to just make a little pile right here, okay? And I'm going to, on the top one, I'm going to use, because it's a darker color, this is on my desk and it's a white watercolor pencil. So what we're going to do is we are going to draw, I'm going to draw some petal shapes. I have a bunch of these, so if this doesn't work, well, we'll change directions. Hopefully it works. Just some random petal shapes. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, good. Odd numbers are more comfortable. Alright, I'm going to, now this is going to be even worse than doing the little squares. I'm going to cut this packet, for lack of a better word, grouping of tissue paper circles. I'm going to just cut them in half to make them a little easier to handle. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to go with the flow. And we're going to see what happens, okay? One of the things that trying to stream and keep up with things on the website, etc., and move and do all that all at the same time, it has been challenging because although I look like I'm real organized here, I'm in chaos. And anybody that knows me very well knows that I can only do chaos just so long. And then I go, nope, I'm over being in the chaotic state. And I'm pretty much there now. And it's good because everything's coming out at about the same rate. I got the last of the stuff moved. The house is pretty much done and cleaned. The carpets got cleaned. And okay, all these little scraps, you could take all those and you could plop those down on a journal page, and maybe we will here in a minute. I don't know. But for the moment, I'm just going to put those off to the side. Okay, I'm just going to move those over there. That confetti. Okay, and so then I'm going to, anyway, it's been a lot to just try to act like I've got it all under control. It's all an illusion, people. It's all a big illusion. So, petals. And as I said, this may or may not work, but one of the things I've not been able to do as we're working through all this, and you guys have been incredibly patient with me, and for which I appreciate. I do. Very much. Is I've had to just punt as we go along, and thank you for being patient about the whole punting ordeal. So I'm just gonna chop up some of this. We'll take these and we'll chop these up a little bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let all these petals here kind of live over here. There's enough petals there to do 1 billion flowers almost. And let's grab a journal. Take one of these journal pages back here because there's plenty of them. Here, let's use this one because it's already got something on it. I don't know if that's water reactive or what it is. I'm trying to get all the little bits. And I'm going to just put some water down here. I'm going to put a bunch of water. Now this may be a horrible mess, or it could be a work of art, but we don't know unless we try it. So I'm trying to catch all of these confetti bits, trap them in the water. These little bits of stuff are sticking to my mat. That's crazy. So let's slap some water on it. Because once you get water involved, then they become more controllable. We're smashing them down. We're going to let them bleed and do their thing. The confetti is going to do its thing. I'm going to pick up these. Oh, that's the way to pick those up. Use a wet brush. There you go. That's the secret to picking those up instead of trying to pick them up with your fingers. Pick them up with a wet brush. See what you learn here? See what you learn here? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to just try to smash all these down. See if there's any hiding under my book. There were a couple. All right. Now, see that confetti mess? That's either going to be great or it's going to be horrible, but we're going to find out. So it's drying on the floor. Okay, there you go. Hi, Peg. Good to see you, Peg Robinson. Now, it does start getting on your fingers. that the ink or the bleeding stuff does start getting on your fingers, and it is what it is. Alright, let's take the tissue papers off. I have not let them all fully dry, but they're going to be dry enough, so I'm going to just take these tissue papers off the cards. They're mostly dry. They may continue to react to each other a little bit. I'm just going to stick them in this envelope. And there, that way I have those interesting dyed, as they've reacted to each other, dyed tissue papers that we can use for something else. Okay? So there's one background. I think that's pretty. I'm not hating that. So now what I want to do for grins and giggles, let's see. Okay, I may have to turn off my fan because it is trying to blow everything around. I'm going to put some water here. Let's see if this works. I do not know if it will or if it won't. But it might. And this is just water that I'm using. Oop. All right. Sorry, but you got to go away because you didn't cooperate. Let's try again. That one got a nice wrinkle in it, so who knows what that's going to do. So I'm trying to control a little bit, a kind of uncontrollable, as you can see. A little bit of an unruly situation here. And I saw something on a wall, piece of wall art today somewhere, and I can't even tell you for sure where it was because I don't remember. And I thought, I wonder if that would possibly, if you could possibly paint with the tissue paper. It may not work at all. Then again, maybe it will. And so I'm just taking a little piece of one of the little squares. and I'm just kind of doing a little bleeding tissue paper thing. I don't know if this is going to work, but you know, you won't know unless you try. So we're going to try. Alright, I've picked up the other tissue papers that had dried and fallen off. And then I'm going to pick up the rest of these and I'm going to stuff them in my little envelope. Yeah, tissue paper is a pretty remarkable thing. Actually, I think it's also, you kind of have to have a little bit of patience with it, and as I'm fond of saying, and I hear it from many people, especially streamers, that people don't seem to have a lot of patience when it comes to letting things dry. I'm not an exception to that rule. I kind of follow right along with that pattern, especially when I'm streaming for you guys. Kind of like things to just work. Okay, so there's my little envelope of spent tissue papers at the moment. So let's try this again, shall we? Bye, Dana. Thanks for being here. I'm going to have a little sip of coffee. Okay. I would cut these down to be smaller petals, but I don't think I could manage them. So I'm going to put some, I think the size that I'm using is probably as small as I can go. And I'm just going to, this time, I'm going to try to put some in my hand. Like a hand of cards, I'm going to try to move these all over out of the way. Maybe with a dry brush. There we go. Maybe put another little more yellow. Okay, so I have a little deck of petals in my deck of cards. Hey, Linda. I am so glad Tim had a good birthday. That is so great. So happy. That is so neat that he had a good birthday. Alright, we're going to start. Maybe we won't do a pink one this time. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can paint with tissue up here. Don't know if it'll work. This one looks like it's going to be a wonky flower. I think I'm getting a little too much water here, but you know, it is what it is. Like I said, it'll work or it won't, and I am okay with that. And I didn't deal myself quite enough petals here. Yeah, maybe I did. Okay, so we have another little flower, essence of flower, okay? Essence of flower. Let me find another color of I'm digging through my tissue papers here to find a different color of green. However, it looks like I want that yellow green, but where is it? Yeah, we'll use this one. Whatever color this is the one we're going to use. This may be the same one I used over there. I don't really know, but we're going to cut off a essence of stem. And I'm working with the shapes that I have. If I had the bigger strips of tissue paper, which I have, I just haven't opened the packages yet. We could cut longer pieces. Okay, so I have cut a little leaf shape. And then I'm going to cut another little leaf shape. You know, I did read somewhere, I saw what Jenny said about crepe paper. I did read someplace where somebody said you could use crepe paper. Just try it. Just try it with what you have. If it doesn't work, you know, it doesn't work. Now, ideally, you could use a second color of the tissue and, you know, get more colors with the greens and stuff if you wanted more variety, like 2 different colors of green, for example, 2 different leaf colors, just, you know, just to try it. Okay. All right, so we're going to set this one aside and see what it does. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'll just put it right there. Okay. This one, the one I just did, is starting to lift. The tissue papers are starting, I don't know if you can see, they're starting to lift up the edges, so they're starting to dry. We'll see what happens. And since we have one more card, let's do one more. So there's what it really looks like. And let's see what colors we have here. We have blue and purple-ish, kind of a magenta. So we got the blue. I'm just going to try and put some petals in my hands so it's going to be easier for me to control, I think. And we might throw in a pink, and then there's another magenta, purpley, red purple, and another bluish color. I have no idea what kind of flower this could be. And let's put in another pink and another, whatever this is, magenta, purple, red purple. And then if we need more, we have more over there. Okay? All right, so here we go. See what happens. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to just start Put down some water. I'm going to try not to be too zealous with the water this time, she says. And put down a little more water. Let's put down one of these. Whoop. Don't be doing that. Well, that one's going to be a little wonky shape. It's going to have a little flatness to it. You know, not every flower has the perfect shaped petals. Okay. I'm going to put down a pink one. Add some more water. Add another red purple one. Once the water hits the tissue, it is controllable. But until the water gets involved, it has a mind of its own. Okay, let's put another pink, red purple, pinky color. And how about a pink? And then let's put one more of the dark. And we'll put that back in there. Okay, so we have a wonky, but some different colors, some dark ones in this one. Okay. You don't want to make this at this stage. I don't want it to be sealed with anything, because what I'm doing is actually painting with the paper. That's my intention, but we don't know what we're going to get yet. Don't know what we're going to get. All right, and then I'm going to cut out some leaf shapes. And I'm cutting these because these are small. I'm cutting them and going to lay them down as soon as I'm done cutting them. Because otherwise the fan is going to have a wonderful time with them and blow them all over the place. And let's do one more because I have a little bit more tissue left. And let's put this one just right, kind of right there. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to do, just for something, just to see what will happen. trying to get rid of, here, we're gonna use this. There's more than one way to pick up those little pieces of tissue paper. Okay, I'm gonna take one more petal shape. I'm gonna use this one, and I'm gonna make it smaller. I don't know if it will do any good whatsoever. I'm gonna cut it down a little bit. Okay, so it's a little smaller than what's up there. And I'm going to lay it down here like it has dropped off of the flower. Like it fell out, like it just fell out of that flower. Okay, like it lost a petal. I just want to see what happens. Okay. And so this one is going to have to go, and we'll just let it sit right there. It's sitting on top of all the bleeding tissue, so this could be a disaster. I hope not. I hope not. All right. Let's go back to our first one that we put our first experiment. And the petals are lifting up, so let's pull them off and see what we get. And I don't think I'm going to save these petal shapes. I think I'm going to dispose of them. I have plenty of other tissue that I could do this again. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. I gotta say, that's not bad. All right, let's see if we got anything. Oh, yep, there's a stem. Okay, got a leaf. Okay, so far, you guys, I'm happy with what's happening here. I'm happy. All right, there's that. Now, you guys may think this is a mess, but we're going to see if we can turn it into something. Are you all still here? I just now looked at the chat, and I'm like, I don't know if you guys are still here. Looks like you are. Okay. We'll put that one right there. Before I go any further, I'm going to attempt to pick up all the petals, the dry petals that I cut. I'm going to try to scoop them up and stick them in with all the other bleeding tissue so I have it. Okay, that's going to be a delicious mess of wonderful things to paint with at some point. Okay, you're still here. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so this was the second one that we did. And so I'm going to pull these off. I don't know if you need to wait until they're fully dry. They're mostly dry because the fans are running. Man, my hand dexterity, I think it's because my hands and knuckles and muscles are so sore. At least I don't have my finger bandage today. The big honking bandage I've had on my finger. My poor finger, it has taken a beating through the move. Okay, that one needed more, but that's okay. We're going to work with it the way it is. So there's that. Okay? Okay. All right, this one is fairly dry. Not super dry, but fairly dry. Let's hit it with the Living Dangerously here. I'm trying to get my heat tool off where I have it hanging. And okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this away from the table. I don't need this blowing tissue paper all over everywhere. Okay, do you see what I'm doing? Yeah, you do. Okay. And I got mess on the back, but you know, that's just That, sorry, didn't mean to flip you the bird. That's just the way that is. Okay. I just need it dry enough that I can work on top of it with the pen. Okay, there's that. Let's do this one while we're at it. I like the way this looks already. Am I crazy? The jewel tone, I know. Talking about patience. Hi, Mary Marlowe. Hi, Tina Riley. Aw, Queen Teen, it's so good to see you. Tina, how are you doing, girl? Good to see you. Tina and I go back to Ustream days. Yes, we do. I gotta say, I really like the way this one is looking. I really like that. I don't know. This might work out. This might work out. I'm gonna put my board back down on the floor before it falls off and makes a big mess. Okay, the other one, the last one we did, I'm just gonna let it sit over here. I need a swill of coffee. Good deal, Tina. All right. I have got to seriously take some time and organize this room, but not tonight. Yep. Okay. We're going to use the Uniball Vision Elite. I don't know what this is. They're tiny. They're tiny. I can't tell you anything else. Oh, micro, 0.5. That's what that says up there. It's a rollerball, Uniball Vision Elite Performance Precision Design, 4 in a package, micro, 0.5 millimeters. Okay. It says on the other side, they're made in Japan. Uni Super Ink protects against water, fading, and fraud. There you go. I learned about these, I think, from Karen Elaine. I think it's what she was using, although I'm not sure. I got these. I'm not sure it's what she was using. I got these in Barnes & Noble because I saw them. To be quite frank, that's where I got them. Okay. Okay, it's working. This is where I'm going to just be a loosey-goosey, and we're just going to see what happens. I don't want this to feel constrained. I want it to be loose, and yeah, that's the best way to say it. Okay, so we're going to use the petals that I got petal shapes. Okay, I actually got petal shapes there, but I don't have to use the petal shapes that are there. Not exactly the way they are, but we're going to kind of use what's there. Okay, let's see what happens. So I'm going to get back on the handle of the pen so that I don't get too tight when I draw. Let's see what happens. Okay, so very light lines. We may come back with a thicker pen here in a second, but that's what I'm starting with. And then I'm going to come down here, same thing, I'm going to do loose lines. I'm way back on the pen, the barrel of the pen. Giving it kind of a sketchy look. And I'm going to stick with this pen. I'm just going to make it more. Okay, so let me go to a different camera here, because I think you'll be able to see it better. And I'm going to, my head's going to get in the way for a minute, so sorry about that. I'm going to, get the head out of the way. I'm going to tip this up so you'll be able to see it a little bit more. And then I'm going to use a black Posca pen. I like the way that pen worked. That's really fine lines. This is a black Posca pen. This is a PC1MR. I'm going to put in a center. Keeping it kind of loose. Like so. And then I'm going to let some of these centers, as though they're pollen dots, I'm going to let some of those just kind of dribble down the petals. In an uneven, random-ish fashion. And then I'm going to see if I can come up with a white Posca pen. Where would my white Posca pen be? Hold on a minute. I'll be right back. Found it. I went over and was digging, found a bunch of them, but this is the one I was looking for right here. Same size the other one. Shaking it up, shake and shake, shake, shake. Okay, I think it's working. And that should be dry by now. And then I'm going to highlight some of the little center things. And maybe sprinkle a few of the white pollen dots or whatever they are down the petals. And these are acrylic paint, so they will dry permanently and hopefully not reactivate with the I don't think this color is supposed to be permanent when it's dry. We'll find out. I'm going to hit this with a heat gun just a little bit. Just to make sure that that Posca pen is dry. I need to draw the stem up a little bit more so we have a little, so the stem actually connects to the flower. Okay. And then I have a gold pen here this is the gold marker, the Pilot. This is the Pilot gold marker, and it's very fine. And you know, you can never have too much gold. So just putting a few gold bits, fewer than what I used before. And that will add, that'll just catch a little bit of the sun, the light, hopefully. And then we need to ground this down here at the bottom. I need to put a piece of paper under this because this is fabric. This is fabric back here. And so let's try, let's see, I'm looking for a little bit heavier, slightly heavier. This is an 02, it's an 02 black pen, and it's King Art. Okay, now I'm got to turn it, and so it's going to be at a funny angle, but I have to turn it so I can do this, so I've turned it toward me. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some grass down here. Because if I don't, it's not going, the flower is going to just kind of be floating. So we're going to have to give it a little bit of a base down here, and I'm going to give this a little bit more, darken it a little bit more down here so it really plants that flower down there. And then I think what we should do is I think we should put some little flowers, some little dippity dot flowers down there on some of these little sprigs of grass. So again, we're just planting some flowers down there, and then maybe put a little gold center. The ones that actually look like flower shapes, we'll just give them a little gold center just because we can. We could put some more down there, but we really don't want the emphasis down here. We want the emphasis up here on the flower itself. And then I will ink around the outside of this, but I need to let all that jazz dry really well. Okay. Hello, Joyce Boring. Okay, so there is that. Okay, so we planted the flower. We created the flower, we planted the flower, and we gave it a little interest down here, and so there's that one. Okay, are we good there? Hopefully. Okay, let's go back to the other view so you can see it this way. And let's I don't know, maybe let me dry this again just to make sure it's dry over here. And that should be dry. And then let's ink the edges just so you can see one all the way to completion. And then if you want to hang around, I'll do some more. So as I usually use the blue, cobalt blue archival ink to ink the edges because that's what I like. I like it better than black. And the back side of the card shows the hand of the artist. Uh-oh, here comes my dog. Okay, you guys, give me a minute. I gotta put the dog, I gotta let her go out. She's awake, so I gotta let her go out. She's old and I'll be right back. Come on. Okay, sorry about that. I'm the only one here at the moment, and when she wakes up, she's like a baby. She wakes up, she has to go out. And I can't just put her out because the yard's not fenced. Anyway, thank you for your patience. All right, let's go back to this. Cobalt blue. I have to say, I'm pretty happy with how this experiment has turned out. Sorry, I'm a little breathless. I was hurrying. So I'm just going to use some cobalt blue around the edge. And this could have easily some doodling around, pattern work around the edges of it. But you know, I think this is what it's going to be. I think it's going to be this. And I think that's all it's going to get, is just some ink around the edge. And we're going to say, as my son says, Robert is your mother's brother, or something like that. Instead of Bob's your uncle. Robert's your mother's brother. Okay. One of the problems with Muppet... Hey, girl. Hey, come here. Come here. She can't hear, and she gets confused now as to where I am. So I think we have some pet dementia going on. Hey, come here. Come here, come here, come here. Come on. Sorry, you guys, just a second. Come on. Come on. Come in here with me. Yeah, come in here. Oh, good girl. Oh, that's a good girl. Yes, good girl. Here we go. Okay. So she's in here with us now. You'll probably hear her little toenails clapping on the floor. But she gets confused as to where I am. Okay, so there you guys go. There is that one. Okay, I think it's a successful experiment. I do. Do you guys like? You guys like? Okay. Let's go to the next one. Now she's confused about why she can't go out. Let's take these off while we're here. Hi. Hi, darling. Yeah. Oh, goodness. These animals are something else. One more. Okay, so here is, oh, and here's the one down here, which this doesn't look much like a petal, but we'll make it look like a petal. But there's what that one looks like at its current, in its current rendition. Okay, so let's get rid of all this jazz. And I know this may be a weird angle for you guys, but I'm going to use this angle right here. And I'm going to do this one. You've seen the process. So let's see what happens if I just kind of, whoops, that was a little far, Barb. Okay. I'll just do it. I'll just work it and see what happens here, okay? And we'll get something similar to the other one, but I'm sure it'll be different, not the same as. Okay, let's go. Okay, so there's the basic shape of this flower. Okay, and then I'm going to put some structure into the petals, just some veining that radiates out from the middle. Okay, all right. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, hi Nancy. Good, I hope you do try it. So I'm going to give it a stem down here. So let's make this stem come from the flower this time. And give it a leaf. And let's another leaf. If at first you don't get what you want, then mess it up again. Okay, and now I'm going to come back And I'm going to take the King Art marker. I'm going to add to the petals a little bit with a little darker. Keeping it sketchy. Okay, and let's plant the flower while we're here. And I'm trying to keep the card flat. That's why I'm splaying my fingers out here. When you add grass to things, make sure that it grows from a line, not from a point, and that it goes all different directions. Okay, so we've got kind of the general idea. Okay, let's give it a center like we did the other one. So maybe you'll see better here, and let's with the Posca pen. So we're going to give it an oval shape to the center. Could be more round, because you're looking at this flower, this pretend flower, pretty straight on. It could be more round, but I kind of like the oval. These are certainly not real flowers. These are just essence of flower. And then I'm going to let some of the pollen dots dribble down the petals. Okay, so we're going to let that do that, and then I'm going to hit this with a little heat gun action here for a second. And then come back with some white, because we can. And add a few coming down the petals. Some of this stuff you won't see, but it's there, and it makes it interesting, a little bit more interesting. While we're here, let's put some little, this time we're just going to do some little dots instead of flowers, just some little dot things. Suggestion of flower, but not the same kind of flowers we did on the other one. And we could sometimes, here, I'll show you something else you can do. Instead of making flower shapes like little 5-petal, like little 5-dot flowers, you can just do a kind of a cone shaped flower. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but and kind of like a flower that's kind of weedy, a weedy looking flower. Okay, so essence of weeds down here at the bottom, and you can always come back add a few little black, I'm gonna get the pen going, a few little black dots, not too many, just to give it a little more depth. These are tricks from the decorative painting days of years gone by. Okay, so you have some little sprays of weeds down there. And this looks to me like this needs a little bit more dark. Down there just to increase the depth. And then this is the gold pen, so I'm going to give it a few little gold highlight dots up there, maybe just a 2 or 3 little dots on each one of those little weedy things, just like the sun is really hitting it, like that. And maybe sprinkle a couple down through the petals. Okay, and then we're going to call that, hey, Gray by Dorothy. Okay, so we're going to call that done. Okay, so it's much sketchier than the other one in a lot of ways. It's sketchier. And then we're going to ink it and call it done. I think we're going to get all 3 of these done tonight. That's like a record. Okay, let me hit this with a heat gun just a second. Just to make sure that the paint pen is dry. And then I'm going to use the cobalt blue again and just edge the edge of the card. This ink down at the bottom also helps to ground the flower and the card. So the edging does 2 things. It further plants the flower so it has a reason. So it adds more ground, more dimension there at the bottom. Okay, and we're going to call this card number 2. Okay, so let's look at it this way. So here's card number 2. Similar to card number 1, very sketchy, and I'm really happy with the way that turned out, to tell you the truth. That we could actually paint with the bleeding tissue by cutting it into shapes and putting it on there. I'm pretty happy with that, I gotta say. Yeah. I've got to say. Jay Holmes, I'm not sure who you are, but welcome, welcome. You like it? Okay, there's 2 of them done. Okay, let's work on this one. And let's see what we get on this one. I know, Miss Muppet, you don't like. She is confused because she's in here. She doesn't have a rug. She's not laying on her rug. She's all confused as to why she's in here, why Elton's not home, why he's not taking care of her. Yeah. Jill, okay, Jill. I kind of wanted to say Jill, but I wasn't sure. Yeah. So I'm just taking a puppy break. I'm just petting a dog. She's a good girl. Okay, let's go for the last one. Now, these, when they're fully... Okay, Bub. Yeah, not a good plan there. She just she just wrapped herself up in the heat tool cord and took the heat tool right with her. Okay, let's see if we can get this finished up before she does something else. These cards, as I started to say, need to be put under weight to get them to flatten out, but we're not going to worry about that now. Okay? All right, let's go. So this is the last one that we did, and you can really see the outline of the petal shapes on this one. So we're going to go with the micro pen again. And here we go. We're gonna do basically the same thing. We're just gonna do more of the same sketchy look. Okay, so there is the basic shape of our flower. And let's see if we can be a little more refined with the leaves this time. Slightly more. Not too much, but slightly. And then down here, remember we had a petal that was dropping off of the flower, so we gotta put that little petal, so it's just kind of dropping off this flower up here, and there's not really a space for it, but it came off the back side of the flower. Okay, you gotta roll with me. You gotta pretend. Get your imagination going. And we'll put a little connector thing there, like it actually fell off the. You can give some little veins in the leaves. Okay. And now we're going to start sketching. I'm going to sketch in a little bit of shading up here right by the petals. Give some texture to the stem. Some texture to the petals of the flower radiating from the center. Can be darker at the center. And the more direction that you give those, you can actually shape the petals by making those sketchy lines have some movement, have some curve. Okay, so we have that. So there's the beginning of our flower. And now I'm going to have to put I got to plant my flower down here at the bottom a little bit. And we're going to have to plant, we're going to have to put some grass around this petal because, you know, the petal fell down and it's in the grass. So we got to put some grass around this petal that fell off. So you got to just use your imagination now. Don't get too excited because, oh no, she drew the flower petal and then she scratched stuff all over it. It's okay. It's all right. It's nestled down in the grass. Okay? All right. Back to the black Posca pen. Let me go to the other camera here so you can see a little bit more. So we got grass down there. We got a petal hiding. And let's put in a center. And you can also put a ladybug or something if you want to really give that petal a reason to be down there. You can put a ladybug on it or whatever. If this was in a flower pot, then I would put a shadow around that petal like it was laying on the table, but it's out in the grass, so there you go. Okay, so there is our center for our flower. Add some little pollen dots, let them dribble down each petal a little bit. Don't keep them in lines, and don't let them be too even as you put these in. You gotta let them be spontaneous. Okay, like that. Hey Linda, welcome, welcome. And I'm going to do the same thing on this petal down here. I'm going to let that have some pollen dots down there at the bottom. Like so. So we have our petal that's hanging out down there. And I may actually give it a little more shape. Okay. All right. Now, maybe we'll put in a little heavier grass here in some spots. Just because it kind of plants that flower a little bit more. All right. And then I'm going to come back and put some white pollen dots to highlight. But before I do that, I'm going to hit this with a heat gun just a little bit. Get the black dry. Can you hear Muppet just walking around tip tap tip tap tip tap? Oh, she's a mess. This dog is a mess. Okay, some white. We're almost done. So you're almost done listening to her toenails on the floor. Few white dots dribbling down the flower. Maybe a few down here just to kind of call attention to that petal, to give somebody a reason to look at it and go, oh yeah, that's a petal. And then maybe we want to do some more weeds on this one, just some more little weedy flowers. What she wants is she wants to be fed. She is used to getting food about this time at night, and so she's ready to get her food. Okay, so we've got plenty of weeds down there, and if we need to, we can put a few little black dots. It just gives those a little bit more structure, a little more meaning. What you can do with tissue paper and paint pens is pretty amazing, huh? Okay, and then let's put just a little bit of gold highlight in our center. I have to say, this is a great gold pen. Comes in gold and silver. And maybe dribble just a couple of little gold ones down here in our weedy flowers where the sun is hitting them. Okay. All right, we're going to give it a little bit of heat gun action. Make sure everything's dry. And then how about some edge it with a little bit of cobalt blue. Muppet, you're going to drive everybody nuts, including me. Poor old girl. She's going to have a birthday here before long, and she's going to turn 17. She's going to go have a spa vacation while we're on vacation. Let me get my chat back here because I lost it. And then we will take a look at everything. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to look in this camera because you can see the color the best right here. So that's the one we just did with the petal falling off the flower, which kind of makes you look at it and go, what is that? But that's okay. These are good. The cards would be good for adding a sentiment or a quote, or, I mean, you could be nice, you could be snarky. And here's the last one. Okay, we'll look at them this way also. Straight on so you can see them. And then we'll take the confetti off of the journal page and see what we got with that. Here's the last one we did. Interesting how the petals didn't stick down as well. Okay, and so here is the confetti, that all the scraps that I just cut off and stuck down there. So we're going to take all that off, and I'm going to throw that in the trash. Let me just brush it off in the trash. Some of these have really stuck on the page. Okay, So there's what the confetti did once I just put water on the page and just stuck it on there. There's a few little pieces here that didn't come off yet, but that's kind of an interesting background as well. And that was just just scissored. I just scissored up what was left and put some water on and stuck it down. Yeah, interesting, huh? Interesting. Bleeding tissue paper. Who knew? Yeah, I will not be here until the 14th. I hope to be back on the 14th if all goes well. If you don't see me on the 14th, that's because something went awry and we missed a connection or something. So there's the next one. So from a distance, you can see them. Okay, so there you go. 3 cards made with bleeding tissue paper, and I think that's successful. Thank you very much. I will see you guys when I get back. Enjoy, and as always, remember to get creative the whole time I'm gone, and enjoy yourselves. And I'm going to enjoy myself, and I will come back refreshed and hopefully ready to have some great ideas for some new stuff. I think this actually was quite successful, and I'm happy with what happened here tonight because I didn't know what was going to happen. Okay, I'm going to take the dog and her toenails, and I'm going to go feed her so that she'll stop driving all of us crazy. And I will see you before you know it. Get creative, be nice, be kind, do something neat for somebody else. Get yourself some bleeding tissue paper or something, or try it with crepe paper or whatever, and see what you can get, and just have some fun. And I'll see you soon, before you know it. Okay? Bye for now.